All right. So welcome to the first official episode of Blood Beneath the Moss. We're your hosts, Abby
and Sammy.
This podcast focuses on cold cases, aiming to shed light on the mysteries that are still unsolved. We are both true crime fanatics, from listening to podcasts to watching all the true crime documentaries we can get our hands on. So we hope to do y'all justice. We believe that all the ghosts of the cold cases deserve to be recognized and brought to light yet again. So today, we are going to be talking about Gina Dawn Brooks, a little girl, 13 years old. So here's your trigger warning. This case covers child abduction and underage sexual assault. These are probably the hardest cases to cover. We are supposed to protect the innocent, not subject them to the ugliness of the world. This cold case is 36 years old this year. No body, no peace, no answers to what really happened. This was a little girl, still so full of life, and had so much to live for. While there have been several suspects, and authorities believe they know who allegedly killed Gina, they've even charged him and a suspected accomplice with murder. But eventually, they had to drop the charges in fear of the double jeopardy law.
Stupidest law you've ever heard
Yes,
of.
I don't like it. I don't.
I'm sorry, but if you're charged and they find later evidence, I think that you should be charged on top of that charge. Not, oh, well, we can't charge you for the same thing twice. No, motherfucker, we sure can, because right is right, wrong is wrong.
I mean, I get the double jeopardy in the sense of you can't just keep retrying someone like over and over again if there's not the evidence. But if new evidence is brought to light that is concrete fucking proof you did what they said you did, I don't think the double jeopardy law should apply.
I don't think either.
It's a crock of crap.
Flawed system.
Anyway, they dropped the charges due to fear of the double jeopardy law. They were not confident that what evidence they had would be enough for a jury to convict these men. And if they were found innocent due to lack of evidence, then they freed these men could get away scot-free, and they wouldn't be able to charge them later down the road when, more concrete, absolute, definitive proof was found that they were involved in her abduction and most likely her murder. To this day, this case still haunts the family and the people of Fredericktown, Missouri. So let me set the scene for you all to that fated night in summer 1989. It's August 5th, 1989, and a quiet house on College Street in the sleepy little town of Fredericktown, Missouri. Gina Dawn Brooks had just gotten home from her little brother Chris's baseball game. She was at home with her family, enjoying her last little tidbits of summer before starting high school in just a few short weeks.
Typical of kids,
Yes. So she lived with her mom, Cindy Box, her stepdad David, and her little brother Chris. Her mother had told her and her brother that she was, going to go wind down for the night. It was getting late. She was going to take a bath, and then she was going to go to bed. Like I said, it was getting late, so naturally she assumed that the kids would follow suit and go to bed as well.
Never assume.
No. Makes an ass out of you and me.
Thanks.
So Gina went in, told her mom good night, but did not mention she would be leaving. And again, 13-year-old girl, she kind of pulled the wool over her mom's eyes a little bit here, let her mom believe she was going to bed, but she did not.
I'm a helicopter parent. I'm going to know what you doing, where you at, who you with, where you going. You said goodnight, cool. I'm going to watch you go to your bedroom.
Yes, me too.
I'm sorry. I'm that mom.
Yes. So at this point, Gina then told her brother she was going to go for a bike ride to see her boyfriend, TJ.
Absolutely not.
No.
Yeah. Nope.
So he played some video games, didn't think nothing of it. Neither one of them knew that this would be the last time that they would see Gina alive. Once done with her bath, Cindy believed the children to be in bed, so she herself went to bed.
My thing is you're in the same house as your son, obviously playing video games downstairs.
Well, little boys are sneaky. He could have had the volume turned down low. That's where I'm like, these kids are sneaky. They sneaky.
Not in a bad way, I guess, but still in the same aspect. Like,
yeah.
I see light coming from your bedroom.
I'm checking.
Yep, facts.
Yes. So at this point, it's around 10:30 p.m. I've heard several stories on, the bike being hers, the bike being her brother's. Not sure, so we're just going to go with she hopped on, that little red 5-speed bike. and she rode from her house on College Street to her boyfriend TJ's house on the corner of East College Street and High Street. Witnesses state that they saw a dark-colored station wagon pull up next to Gina at the stop sign by the First Street Baptist Church. Gina, from everywhere that we have read and seen and heard, she wasn't having it.
Stranger danger.
Good old stranger danger, She, did the right thing. Ignored him, and then she went on her way. She did make it to her boyfriend TJ's house, where she hung out with him and their friend Chad for a little bit, till it got late. And the boys state that she got back on her bike, and she, took off down the road. And within minutes, very, very short amount of time, witnesses and the boys, also witnesses, of course, anyway, all state that they heard who they believe to be Gina. The other witnesses, just a little girl, screaming for help. And when the boys looked, they saw that same station wagon that all these other witnesses saw trying to talk to Gina earlier. And it, peeled off, took down Highway 67. The boys initially didn't report this incident to anyone. They're teenage boys.
Hell no. You heard screaming?
Yeah. I understand the boys, but the adults, I don't understand the adults. If you're literally sitting there the next morning telling authorities, oh, well, I saw this station wagon earlier too.
Why the hell you didn't call 911?
Exactly. You had already seen it trying to talk to her once. And then you see it a second time after a little girl screaming and then they're peeling away.
That doesn't make sense to me. Yes. Because, why in the world, if you literally heard screaming, and it's a child, you can tell the difference.
Yes, between a grown woman and a child screaming. You can.
Call.
Yes. There shouldn't have been hesitation there. No. Again, I understand it. They're boys. It was dark, late. Possibly could get in trouble for being up that late. Who knows? They couldn't be sure what they saw. But the adults that witnessed it and did nothing, that's going to bug me a lot.
That's like the northern women and the southern women.
Yes.
I know this is probably in poor taste, but I'm standing 10 toes down for kids. It doesn't matter if they're your kids, her kids, they kids, my kids, the Pope's kids. Kids come first.
The Pope don't have kids, does he?
I don't know. Maybe. It's a controversy.
I didn't think Catholic priests could have sex.
They're not supposed to. That's a whole nother thing.
Well, that's my husband. He grew up Catholic.
I did too, but I don't practice. It's not for me. Oh, goodness.
Okay. So, shortly after the boys heard those screams and the station wagon pull away...
We should probably cut that.
What?
The whole Catholic thing.
Oh, no, I'm leaving it. It's staying. Shortly after the boys heard those screams and the station wagon pull away, sometime around 11 p.m., a call comes in to the Fredericktown Police Department. And Detective Kevin Despain takes the call, and it's someone reporting an abandoned bike on High Street. He heads out, locates the bike, but he notes that there's no signs of concern, as there was no blood, no tire marks, nothing to make him consider any possibility other than a kid was out, playing with their friends, riding around, whatever. They sat the bike down, and, they just forgot it was there. So he loaded the bike up, took it back to the station with him, and he continued on with his work for the night. Nothing to worry about yet. I say yet. At around 1 a.m., Gina's mom, Cindy, says she wakes up. She sees her son, Chris, still playing video games. And she can't find Gina anywhere. She checked her room, checked, the kitchen, living room, the whole house. She was nowhere to be found. So she asked Chris if he knew where Gina had gone. And at this point, Chris tells his mom that Gina told him earlier, right after she got in the bath, that she would be taking the bike and going down to her boyfriend's house, but she promised she would be back. At this point, obviously, mama anxiety kicks in.
I'm telling you, because I would immediately freaks my asshole.
Immediately freaks out, starts, she takes off herself and starts searching for Gina. She searched for a while, and I don't know if she made it home and called the police or if she did it while she's out. It doesn't say in anything I've read. But at around 2 a.m., about an hour later, she calls the Fredericktown Police Department. And again, Detective Despain is the one who Cindy speaks with. When Cindy tells Despain Gina left on her bike, he immediately it clicks for him. He states several times that the second she mentioned Gina went off on her bike, the two connected in his head, that they had to be related. This abandoned bike and this missing little girl absolutely had to be connected to each other.
I mean, at least he's got the
he didn't hesitate. It clicked so fast for him that him and several deputies, they were out like that looking for Gina.
That's awesome.
And they looked throughout the night into the early morning, but unfortunately, there was no sign of Gina. When officers spoke to witnesses, these same witnesses again, who said they had seen Gina earlier, before she was kidnapped, stopped by the church, same station wagon, then talked to TJ and Chad, also learned that that same station wagon was seen peeling away after hearing screams that they believed were Gina for help.
If somebody would have just taken the time and called 911 right then and there, I don't think we would be in this situation of 30-something years later. No. I think that it would have been a right then and there kind of ordeal. It would have been wham bam, thank you, ma'am. Yes. And then we could probably not even have a story to be writing about at this moment.
Exactly. So by early morning, after canvassing and speaking with witnesses, the once sleepy, quiet town of Fredericktown was wide awake, loud, and buzzing with city, county, state, and federal authorities, all joining for the search for Gina.
As they should be.
Yes. Posters went up, yellow ribbons were hung all around town. There were marches and vigils held for this little girl. But sadly, years would go by before any solid leads would come in Gina's case.
And at that time, with as many witnesses coming forth to say, oh, we heard this, oh, we heard that, somebody had to have saw something.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So, and when I say years, I mean years. Gina was abducted in August of 1989. At this point, the first lead in her case comes in 1995. We're talking 6 years later.
Insane.
And this lead comes from, a very strange, unexpected place.
Okay.
A grieving mother sends a letter to the St. Louis homicide commander, David Heath, about the murder of her daughter, Laura Michelle Dinwiddie, who had been murdered in St. Louis in 1975. So again, just like Gina, a case that people started to forget about. It wasn't fresh in everyone's minds anymore. Basically, Commander Heath, he found this letter waiting for him, and when he opened it, it was her pleading with him and his department to not forget about her daughter's murder. And Heath did just that. He refused to forget about Laura, so he turned the case over to a very ambitious and driven detective, Chris Pappas. Pappas went to work digging into the cold case. Quickly, he discovered the original witness / informant, whatever, on the case was then 14-year-old Nathan Danny Williams, who at the time of the original interview had pointed the finger to a friend of his for Dinwiddie's murder. Digging into Williams' background sparked immediate suspicion for Detective Pappas. Immediate red flags went up everywhere. So as he was digging into Williams, he saw that Williams had served time for the rape of a 13-year-old girl in 1979. And at the time he was digging, Williams was, and still today, is currently serving in the Missouri Department of Corrections for the rape and sodomy of a 10-year-old girl. In 1989, less than 1 month after Gina disappeared.
That's fucking sick.
Exactly.
I'm sorry, but he has a history. Why you let him back on the streets? First and foremost, if he's still incarcerated, this can't happen.
Exactly.
And there's not one, not two, but 3 little girls so far that are in this whole thing.
Yep.
That is insane.
3 little girls and the one that he's suspected of being involved with her murder from the beginning. So this man is
a repeat offender. Why do you let him back out?
I mean, it's sad that it took this much, but now at this point, he's, repeat offender to the point that this last charge got him life in prison because he's a repeat offender. But it could have been stopped beforehand.
He should have been in an electric chair, in my opinion, because,
I don't disagree at all.
That's a baby.
Yeah. Crimes against children should
never be a thing.
No, absolutely not. So, after seeing his offenses and learning that Nathan Williams' brother had a close friend who lived near Gina's home at the time of her disappearance, and that Williams himself frequently visited Fredericktown, Detective Pappas reached out to Detective Despain, and they agreed to work together on their prospective cases.
That you don't really hear of. Is
no,
like different
a lot
departments
they won't
working
do that.
together.
So I was surprised.
This is awesome. This is good detective work.
But, just like before, years would go by, and Gina's case is going to go cold again before they would find any evidence.
That's heartbreaking.
At all to connect Williams to the crime.
That's heartbreaking.
It's hard to read about this stuff as a mom because you can't fathom it.
No. I'm a stepmom, but I look at that baby like he's my blood.
Exactly.
Without any doubt. Your kids, we're not even blood related, and your kids are my kids.
Exactly. Exactly.
I couldn't grasp anything happening to our children.
Yeah. Covering this story was very hard, to say the least. Just imagining in your head the possibilities of things that could happen to your own children because of the way the world is today and the way the justice system continuously fails children.
It's insane.
So in the years to follow, the case was cold again. The FBI arrived using subterranean probing tools. A psychic had told investigators.
A psychic. Psychic?
Yes, a psychic.
Like, third eye psychic?
Yeah.
Hell no.
From what I've read about this psychic is, it's not even like, she didn't have like a premonition. She had a dream. And in this dream, it told her, I'm not exactly sure what, if it was Gina or someone else or what, but she told authorities that Gina would be found at the bottom of her quarry. So naturally, they drained it.
Okay.
Wasn't there.
Pause. I come from witchy poo shit down in Louisiana. Okay, everybody hoodoo, voodoo. Okay, everybody has the haints, the haunts, the whole nine. I'm not objecting to anything because everything has but a fucking psychic?
Yeah.
They have real ones. I've seen them.
Me too. My mama used one to talk to her sister one time. That's real.
I don't think that should be allowed in investigations. And personally, and
well, I think that at this point, the case had been cold for so long that they were willing to literally take any piece of anything that could possibly help them.
I mean, I understand, but isn't that like falsifying or like an obstruction of justice at that point? Because like, what happens when she's not right? What happens when
so at this point, that's kind of like saying any lead though. Like, they received leads from all over the place. They investigated all of them. So if they just, discredited hers just because she was a psychic, they would have to start discrediting any other lead from any Joe Blow who called.
Yeah, I agree. Tit for tat. But a psychic?
Yes, bitch, a psychic.
That's retarded. I can't say that word. Scratch that out. Bleep it.
Bleep. So they drained the quarry. Gina's body was not there. A meat freezer was dug up on another suspect's farm. The search spanned from Fredericktown to the Canadian Mounties to the Cayman Islands, and still nothing.
So they literally searched everywhere.
They searched everywhere. It was insane. As time went on, William's name was a noose hanging around Despain and Pappas's neck, slowly just dragging them around. Even though he was scum of the earth, they had no body, they had no evidence. And as the saying goes, no body, no crime. Pappas and Despain continued their search for Gina, never giving up, always just trying to find new leads. And the span of the search and the help of law enforcement was extensive, but they were at a loss. The FBI turned to a very unusual tactic, but it worked out good for them. And it's a tactic that's used today, and other similar things with this are used today. And it proves helpful every time. So the FBI made a videotape detailing the case and asking for help. But they weren't just asking anybody or the public. They distributed this tape within the Missouri Department of Corrections to the prisoners, just hoping for information on Gina's abduction, possible murder, people who were involved, anything they could get and use.
That's actually awesome because, like, the code of conduct that the prisoners hold is right there in your face, and it's always like, you don't mess with kids, you don't mess with women, it's man on man kind of thing.
Exactly.
So the fact that they went to the prisoners and was like, who talked?
Exactly.
That's awesome.
And so, you know, like she said, you know, they have a code of conduct. They may be in there for doing some messed up shit, but if you mess with a child, you've crossed a line that even they wouldn't cross, and they're going to make you pay for it.
Which is kind of odd because some of them don't really have any moral compass or
exactly
codes.
But for your only part of your moral compass to be children,
I support it.
There's still a bit of decent humanity left in you.
Yeah.
I know that's hard to believe, but there is. So, the FBI was contacted by multiple inmates due to this video, and the same two names would come up over and over again: Squires and Ballou. Squires was Williams' best friend, said Pappas. Squires was the person that tied Williams to Gina directly. Squires and Williams, they were homies. It is sickening that so many of these like-minded sick fucks, like these guys, ended up supporting each other. Like, how do you support each other and harming children?
And that's one thing that, like, listening through all the true crime documentaries that we have and listening in to, like, the podcasts and everything, there's more like-minded sick fucks out in the world than we care to realize.
Exactly.
And the fact that the world brings these two
together
is crazy.
Yes. But,
like, how do you even bring that up in conversation, knowing that because I'm sure everybody's been taught right is right, wrong is wrong, you know, hee-haw, woohoo. But in the same aspect, like, how do you start that, hey, you want to go do this with this and fuck up this? Because no.
I can't imagine how that
dogs on the back,
topic gets brought up. I already am.
That's my baby.
So, unfortunately for Despain and Pappas and the FBI, by the time they learned of Squires, it was already too late. Bryant Squires had died of cancer and AIDS-related medical condition, whatever, in 1996. And this part right here that I'm about to get to literally makes my blood boil. Because it was one thing when witnesses heard her screaming earlier, but to hear these deathbed confessions and never contact authorities.
This is what got me, because, like, I'm reading as you're saying, right, for everybody who's watching. I'm reading what she's saying before she says it, so I know what the fuck I need to say to y'all. Anyway, but reading that and hearing it and, like, visually comprehending that he told these people.
So, apparently before he died, two nurses alleged that he made several deathbed confessions to two different nurses, whatever, implicating Williams and himself in Gina's abduction and murder. Allegedly, Squires told the nurses he was the driver of the station wagon that had abducted Gina. According to the nurses, Squires said Williams held Gina in the back seat and killed her. Squires also said the pair was involved in other cases, but his confessions of involvement in some of those have since been proven untrue. And at this time, the detectives also believe Timothy Ballou was the third person in the station wagon that night.
That's wild. You have multiple witnesses stating that all three have been seen.
Exactly.
And yet here you are hearing this on his deathbed.
And see, that's just it. He was on his deathbed. If you're the nurses that heard these, I'm sorry if you don't like this, but to me, if I heard someone making a deathbed confession, whether I thought they were serious, messed up on pain meds, or whatever, or delusional, I'm calling the authorities to come listen to this shit. Because how do you hear that
I killed
this man and two other people were involved with the abduction and murder of a little girl, and you do nothing until detectives come to question you about it later after the fact?
That's what I'm not understanding is, like, there's been multiple occurrences in this case where people heard, people knew.
Could have spoken up, and they didn't. So, Ballou, like Williams, had been arrested and charged with the rape of a 7-year-old girl in 1990, and subsequently spent 5 years in prison.
Only 5 for a little girl.
The justice system for children is fucking flawed, to say the absolute least. Ballou would tell authorities that he witnessed Williams kill Gina and that he helped dispose of her body after the murder. Ballou told authorities that they would find Gina's body in a meat freezer buried on his father's 90-plus acre farm. But in 2001, after an extensive search and digging up that freezer, Ballou claimed he and Williams had put Gina's body in, that search ended just like all the others before it. Absolutely nothing. They didn't find Gina's body. They found that meat freezer full of rancid meat, chained closed after they dug it up. But again, no body of anyone found. Ballou was charged with second-degree murder for Gina, but ultimately those charges were dropped due to his stories continuously changing, and they fell apart because he could not keep his story straight. To me, I feel like he was playing a game with the authorities. Like, it was a joke to him. He did not care because in his mind, they already got away with it. So why not have a little fun in the process? It's fucking disgusting.
I honestly think he should have got more than what he got.
Yeah, he ends up getting... So they dropped the charges on second-degree murder because, lack of evidence. But they give him 30 months in prison for lying to the FBI. You played a game with authorities. 30 months in prison is
a slap
nothing.
on the hand.
You got 2.5 years for sending federal authorities on a wild goose chase, wasting taxpayer dollars for these searches, and absolutely nothing comes of it. 2.5 years.
They don't care.
And the audacity of this man to still live in Fredericktown, Missouri to this day.
I'm sorry, somebody should have run him over.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I didn't say that. Allegedly.
So, yeah. Eventually, Williams will be charged with the first-degree murder of Gina Dawn Brooks. But the charges were dropped in 2003. Again, for the fear of the double jeopardy law. Madison County prosecuting attorney Dwight Robbins said at the time, "I am of the firm opinion that the state should not proceed to trial and risk the possibility of acquittal, thereby losing any chance of retrying this case should further evidence become available. The offense alleged is so egregious and the consequences of conviction so great that the prosecution should proceed only when the evidence is sufficient enough to ensure the likelihood of conviction." Basically, he's saying that since Williams is already locked up for life on, these repeated sexual assaults, rapes, sodomies of little girls.
Should have never been a thing.
Exactly. But since he's locked up for life, they have time to continue to try to build this case. Detective Despain says there is no statute of limitations on kidnapping or murder, so it's better to let it ride until maybe something or someone comes forward, holding out hope that maybe one day Williams would confess. But for me, Missouri still has capital punishment. And, first-degree murder, you're up for the death penalty. So I find it extremely unlikely that Williams will ever confess or lead them to Gina's body with the fear of,
the
death row. But, and this is I don't agree with this at all. I feel like the only way he might ever confess is if they took the death penalty off the table. But again, no. You murdered a child. That shouldn't come off the table. It shouldn't.
Personally, I'm tired of paying my hard-earned tax dollars to support you in a prison system when you're hurting children.
Exactly. So, to me, that's the only way I think that he is ever likely going to admit what he did or lead them to Gina's body. But I also kind of feel like he's like Ballou in the way that it's a game to him. He's gotten away with it for so long, he genuinely doesn't care.
I know we're not supposed to play God, right? I know that it's eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. Death penalty shouldn't be decided amongst humans.
Mm-hmm. But in some cases...
this is where I draw the line. You're dealing with children here. And there's multiple that have gotten nothing but lifetime versions of trauma, and Gina's still not here. We don't know where she's at.
Exactly. So, over the years, lots of interviews of people associated with Williams, detectives believe he could be connected to up to a dozen murders across the county. Today, he sits in a Jefferson City prison, where he isn't eligible for parole until 2039. Why is eligible for parole in 2039 even in the equation?
I don't think that should be a thing. I think if we're still up here and not move back down south...
We're going to be over there. Even if we don't move back down south, we can always come back up.
I don't think that anybody should...
ruined little girls' lives. You have no right to want to walk free.
None.
Among anyone else. You don't. I would rather see you rot in a prison cell for the rest of your life than to get to walk free And you've already proven you're going to do it again.
Repeat offenders always offend.
No. You don't deserve an eligible for parole status. That's fucking retarded.
I'm sorry, but as doing the research, because this is your case, right? Doing the research with you and reading all of this has brought up so many feelings.
Yes.
As far as like being a mom.
Yes.
And being an auntie and a tia or whatever you want to be called. It's hard to look at people the same way in this light now from reading all of this, from doing this in-depth dive.
Yeah.
To where it's hard to let my heart be open to the idea of my kids growing up.
Yes. Not going to be able to protect them forever. And that thought fucking petrifies me.
Oh no, I'm going to be right there. They're not allowed to grow up. I'm done. They're not allowed to grow up.
So, most of the information we uncovered were thanks to the Charlie Project. It broke so many things down because honestly, there isn't much out there. It's a lot of the same things over and over again, just, worded a little different. Honestly, it's hard to have a case with little to no evidence. It becomes all speculation. He said, she said. You can't prove it definitively, so it potentially is an issue. So the Charlie Project is one of the largest privately owned databases used for trying to help solve cold cases for the victims in the USA. They also believe that Williams killed Gina by slitting her throat, and Squires was used for his buffer to help cover it all up. In the years since the charges were dropped against Williams, leads and tips have come and gone in Gina's case. The most recent of these leads being in July of 2024. Specifically, on July 25th, 2024, just 15 miles from where Gina was abducted in Bolivar County, Missouri, the Bolivar County Sheriff's Office announced that throughout the multi-day search, possible evidence was collected and sent to the Missouri State Highway Patrol Crime Lab for analysis. However, no human remains were found. Crews used heavy equipment to dig on the property. And from what I've seen of photographs and, news stories, on one side of the property, you can see heavy law enforcement presence with numerous Bolivar County Sheriff's vehicles and several other unmarked vehicles. On the other side of these photographs, a section of land is cleared behind a house with heavy machinery and concrete culvert pipes exposed. Lieutenant Darren Haslag with the Patrol Division of Drug and Crime Control said that this work is an extension of an ongoing criminal investigation in a press release that same afternoon. Supposedly, from drone footage, there was a prisoner out there with the investigators walking around the property.
What
Again,
prisoner?
I say supposedly.
What
yes.
Prisoner?
And which prisoner, if this is true, was it? Was it Williams? Was it Ballou?
Do we
know who it was?
I want to know. I'm nosy.
Is this person directly linked to Gina's case? Or can they directly link someone to Gina's case?
It better not be just a tit for tat unless
exactly
fondle around. Oh, because I heard that this is where he put it. Okay, so you need to come with me. Why don't we need names?
Yes. So the current owner of the property is not connected to this case. From what I've read, they willingly allowed this search to happen. Didn't argue it one bit. They had, purchased this property years after Gina had gone missing. No connection whatsoever to this case. I
have heard since he purchased that property, like, this is in length to
Squires and Williams. Yes.
Because I can't remember which one it was, but I remember that it was somebody's family member that had owned it, and that's when they had went to that farm.
So they did, that one was separate. That was Ballou's father's 90-plus acre farm.
Okay.
But this is a separate one. In the same, 30, 40-mile stretch of where everything was.
So this is all in general correlation to where she was abducted.
Yes. We're talking within, driving distance of where they abducted Gina.
That's insane.
So, to this day, it's still unclear what evidence, if any, was discovered that can link Williams or Squires or Ballou, for that matter, to Gina's case. But that was 2 years ago almost. We still have nothing on this little girl. Gina's case is still an open and active investigation. Gina's legacy cannot just be the girl who vanished riding her bike one night. She has a family, loved ones, and hope that we can find out the answers we need to help case her close.
Case her close?
Close her case.
That stays in.
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Gina deserves that peace. A community was left shaken a family changed forever. A mother grieving something I hope none of us ever have to do.
No, I couldn't imagine it.
No. Many still hold out hope that one day we will get answers to exactly what happened to Gina Dawn Brooks that fateful night in August 1989. I don't know. Anything you want to talk about with all of this?
I think that, I know that was a big time difference in between of what is then and what is now.
Yes.
I know people don't look at things a certain way, and things have changed along the way as far as, like, who to trust and not to trust.
Yeah.
But back then, like, hearing stories from mom and dad, like, people didn't, like, close and lock their doors. They were okay with the kids being out until the light came home, you know.
My mom grew up in San Diego, California. She remembers, we were talking about the case literally just the other day, but she remembers moving here. I think she was in like the 5th grade.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, when she lived in in California, okay?
You just literally
I know. She would ride her bike from her house to the 7-Eleven, she said, was like 2 miles or more away from her house. And it was never a problem. And that was freaking California, okay?
Yeah.
And then to move to a tiny little podunk town that we live in, 30 minutes from Fredericktown, Missouri. You hear banjos in the woods, okay? She's not wrong. Anyway, but to move here, be here for a year or two, and then not even be able to walk down the street without your mother seeing you because everyone is petrified that this little girl was just snatched up like that and nothing was ever found for her. I can't fathom.
Out in the country with my husband and our stepson. Well, my stepson. I don't let him go outside without me there.
Absolutely not.
And, like, all we have surrounding us is nothing but, like, cornfields.
Yeah.
So if he's outside, then one of us is outside.
Exactly.
Like, he's not allowed to be out there by himself. And he's a 12-year-old boy.
Yep.
He should be able to go outside and play, but I don't trust anybody.
The world is full of sick fucks like Squires, Williams, and Ballou. Yeah. I firmly believe that these 3 men, you know, Squires is dead. There's nothing that can be done for him. But the other 2, they're still very much alive. There is no reason whatsoever that these men just get to act like they don't give a shit. Because they did something horrific, terrible, and they should have to pay for it.
I agree 110%. Like, this is where I'm gonna play devil's advocate, right? I believe that our justice system does good things.
Yes,
I do, and I believe that our justice system has its flaws.
Yes. And
when it comes to protecting these kids, it should up its ante.
There's major flaws there.
It should up its ante. That's just my personal opinion. Come at me, bro. I don't care.
Assault in any way, shape, or form a child. I don't care if it's child abuse or, you know, child sexual assault. You automatically are the scum of the earth. The dog shit on the bottom of my husband's shoe. Okay?
I got cow shit on the bottom of my boots.
That works more. Too. Absolutely not. You don't have the right to do anything anymore. No. If you don't get the death penalty, you 100% should spend the rest of your life rotting in prison. Crimes against children is the most despicable thing that a person can do. And speak from experience on that. Taking a child's life early for no fucking clear reason.
Besides your own personal gratification.
You nasty.
I honestly think these people should be strung up in the middle of Times Square. That's just me.
If we went back to that, we'd have a lot less crime. I'm just saying.
Allegedly.
Yes.
I'm not getting got.
But I'd just like to throw in here, if you have any information, if you think you have any information, if you think you heard something that could help authorities, please don't hesitate to contact the FBI tip line, the Missouri State Highway Patrol Division of Drug and Crime Control, or the Fredericktown Police Department. I will link all of those numbers in our show notes. And I pray that one day Gina's family gets the peace that they deserve.
I agree wholeheartedly.
Yes.
Because I can only I can't even fathom what her mother is feeling, or her brother, because you know, he and TJ and Chad were the last ones to see her. So
to think, you know, okay, I'm gonna get a bath and I'm gonna go to bed, told my daughter good night, and I would never see her again. I can't imagine how Gina's mom Cindy feels. Mm-hmm. I can't imagine being, you know, a sibling playing a video game thinking, oh yeah, cool, okay, I'll see you in a little bit, and then I never see you again. The things that they have lived with for 36 years, the questions, the doubts, I'm sure they're questioning in themselves, because I can't imagine.
The survivor's guilt?
Yes. Yeah. You know, I can't imagine that for them.
So what we're going to do is cite everything in the show notes. Yes. And if anyone has anything and doesn't feel comfortable coming up, yes, you can also do it anonymously. Yes. Granted, it kind of defeats the purpose, not going to lie to you, but if you know anything, heard anything
please don't hesitate.
Please don't hesitate. Everybody deserves peace, and if it was the shoe on the other foot,
you would want someone to do the same for you.
Exactly. Well,
I think
we're going to wrap this up.
Yes, but before we do, Sammy, why don't you just give them a little sneak of what you're going to be covering next week?
Okay, well, let me get to that.
It's a really good one.
Next week is going to be something that happened in my hometown area where I grew up at. It's in reference to the Jeff Davis 8. There's 8 women that were murdered and disposed of like trash. And it was definitely police corruption in it. There's racism. There's prostitution. There's drug, crime lore, the whole 9 yards. But in the same aspect,
these are victims who deserve peace.
Yes. And there were 8 beautiful women that, you know, had families, had sons, had daughters.
Yes.
The next episode is going to be so hard to honestly actually listen to, being especially the fact that I was already there, and what we're getting into with it is a deep dive.
Yes.
And we're gonna bring light to their names, because their cases was a little bit they were lost in the media.
Yeah.
They were just names. They weren't mothers. They weren't daughters. They weren't anything. They were just prostitutes.
Which is shit.
They were sex workers, and no one gave
that a shit. Shouldn't matter.
No.
That shouldn't matter.
So, tune in
next Monday to our episode 2 of Blood Beneath the Moss for our take on the Jeff Davis 8.
BTW, it's gonna be a long one. Yes. So strap in and
buckle up, get your coffee, and sit back and watch with us.
Alrighty.
Thank you for watching.